Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the deep end of Master Yangming Yanshou's incredible text, Volume 26 of the Zongying Lu. We're looking at something pretty radical today regarding the very nature of reality itself. And this isn't just dry history or ancient philosophy. It's a direct, hands-on investigation into consciousness. So, let's jump right in and unpack what Master Yanshu is really getting at here.
Right off the bat, the text hits us with this massive paradox. Why is the ultimate truth so often the most heavily rejected? Master Yanshu points out that people actually have an incredibly hard time believing this specific teaching. But why? Well, the source explains it's precisely because this truth requires absolutely zero external searching. It tells us that ultimate reality is already resting completely within your own mind. We're so totally conditioned to believe that deep truths have to be distant, right? Like they have to be difficult to find and require endless seeking. So when we're told the answer is literally right here, we just reject it. We look right past it.
And the text uses this brilliant, mind-bending imagery to show just how impossible this concept feels to the human mind. Check out this quote straight from the source. Like standing a boundless bodhisattva on a needle's point, or hanging Mount Sumeru from a lotus thread. Master Yanshu uses these visuals to illustrate that the inner workings of our reality are just utterly inconceivable. To our logical, calculating minds, the idea that the entire expanse of existence and enlightenment itself is contained within a single thought, it seems as impossible as hanging a massive mountain from a microscopic lotus root. It completely defies conventional physics, which honestly is exactly the point he's making.
So what exactly is this ultimate reality? Master Yanshu defines it as the one mind, or Yi Xin. Now, we're not talking about your everyday chattering thoughts here. The source describes the one mind as the ultimate reality and inherent wisdom that exists entirely within you. It's completely independent of any external factors whatsoever. The text emphatically states that you are, right now, sitting on an infinite treasure. And because it's your inherent nature, it's not something you can ever go out and buy or gain from the outside, and you can never truly lose it either. The crucial takeaway here is that grasping this text means finally recognizing a power you already possess.
Moving into our first main section, rules versus true understanding and the danger of rigid forms. The source material sets up this fascinating, high-stakes contrast between two totally different approaches to spiritual life. On the one hand, we have this concept of being strict with rules but lax with the vehicle. This describes someone who obsesses over every single behavioral rule and regulation. They never put a foot wrong, but they completely neglect the vehicle, which is the actual, deeper, philosophical understanding of reality. Then, on the other hand, we have the exact opposite approach, strict with the vehicle, but lax with rules. This is the person who profoundly grasps the ultimate truth of the one mind, even if their external behavior or their adherence to rigid rules is kind of imperfect.
And what's super interesting here is how the text maps out the ultimate outcomes of these two paths. If you're strict with the rules but lax with the vehicle, the text argues you might score a temporary heavenly rebirth because, hey, you had good behavior. But because you haven't actually grasped the ultimate truth, you're eventually going to fall right back into the cycle of suffering and confusion. However, if you are strict with the vehicle, meaning you've really nailed down that deep internal understanding of the one mind, even if you mess up the rules sometimes, your trajectory is permanently set toward true Buddhahood. It's a really bold assertion. Master Yanshu is telling us that deep internal intention and philosophical mastery will always triumph over empty, rigid, external rule following.
Okay, on to Section 2, the incredible power of hearing and transformation through receptiveness.
The text actually shares this genuinely hilarious yet profoundly deep anecdote to prove this point. So there was this old, uneducated monk who desperately wanted to attain the stages of enlightenment. A group of arrogant young monks decided to play a cruel prank on him. They told him to sit in the corner of a room, and then they literally hit him on the head with a leather ball. They mockingly told him, "There, we've granted you the first stage of enlightenment, the Streamentur." But here's the catch. The old monk didn't know it was a joke. He took it entirely seriously. His focus was so absolute that with that first hit, he genuinely achieved the first stage. The young monks, thinking it's still just a funny game, move him to another corner, hit him again, and sarcastically grant him the second stage. And again, the old monk's pure focus makes it a reality. This happens 4 times, until the old monk literally achieves the ultimate stage of an arhat, leaving those young pranksters absolutely speechless and, quite frankly, terrified of what they had just done.
The lesson Master Yanshu is driving home here is incredibly clear. It's all about pure intention, not perfect delivery. Those young monks were delivering the teaching as a totally disrespectful joke, but because the old monk received it with a pure, receptive, and focused mind, the transformation happened anyway. The truth of the one mind is so potent that a genuine internal receptiveness can override even the most mocking, inappropriate, or flawed external circumstances.
And this wasn't just a one-off fluke. The source drops this rapid-fire list of anecdotes to really hammer the point home. Listen to these. A clam hidden in the grass hears the Buddha teaching, gets accidentally struck and killed by a herder's walking stick, but because it died while actively listening to the truth, it's reborn in a heavenly palace. Then there's a fierce war elephant, totally unmatched in battle. It gets stabled at a monastery and, simply by hearing the peaceful chants, it becomes completely docile and refuses to ever fight again. Or how about a laywoman who asks an old, ignorant monk to teach her? The monk is so embarrassed that he doesn't know what to say, he literally runs away. But the woman just sits there, contemplates the impermanence of the whole bizarre situation, and achieves enlightenment entirely on her own. In every single case, the text shows us that transformation doesn't happen because of complex rituals, it happens simply by the sheer power of being receptive to the truth.
Which brings us to our final section. The 3 jewels are within, reclaiming external seeking.
So in traditional Buddhism, practitioners take refuge in the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, which are the teachings, and the Sangha, the community. Now, usually people view these as things out there to be worshipped. But look at how Master Yen Shou brilliantly remaps them directly into our own consciousness. According to the text, the Buddha isn't just a historical figure, it's your mind's own inherent ability to be aware. The Dharma isn't just words printed in a book, it's your mind's natural state of being free from clinging in concepts. And the Sangha isn't just a group of monks, it's the mind's internal state of non-duality and harmony. The text is insisting that you absolutely do not need to look outside yourself for salvation, because the highest, most sacred principles are literally just the mechanics of your own mind.
This all culminates in a definitive, incredibly powerful quote from the text. The mind is the Buddha, the mind is the Dharma and the Buddha are not two. This right here ties the entire philosophical journey together. The source material is explicitly tearing down the wall between the seeker and the goal. It's telling us that if you truly understand your own mind, you have understood everything there is to know about the universe, the teachings, and enlightenment itself.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative question, drawn directly from the logic of Master Yan Shou's writings. If the ultimate truth, and all the transformative powers we've unpacked today are already properties of your own mind, why are you still looking for answers outside yourself? The source material we've explored in this explainer challenges us to stop seeking, stop obsessing over external rigid rules, and simply turn our awareness inward to the one mind that has literally been there all along. Thank you for joining me to break down this profound text. Let that thought sit with you, and keep exploring.